suit up for any dynamic phase of flight. So for our FRAM2 crew, that has been both launch and our reentry going on today. So right now, of course, Dragon is decreasing in its altitude as it gets closer and closer to the Pacific Ocean. But deorbit did not begin today. It actually began with 2 phasing burns, the first of which was on Friday.
Yeah.
We've got a great view on your screen right now of where Dragon is on its trajectory right there off the coast of California.
Yeah, they're getting very, very close, just a few minutes away from splashdown, really.
And you can, of course, continue to follow the crew's progress with that trajectory in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Once we reach about 100 kilometers in altitude, we will begin our entry interface, and the crew and both the capsule will begin to feel the effects of Earth's atmosphere, which are primarily lift and drag. We'll also begin flushing the nitrox into the cabin, like you mentioned earlier, topping off the suits to keep our astronauts cool. And of course, our heat shield at that point is pointing forward towards our landing site.
And we are expecting that blackout period to come up here to start in about a minute or so. And actually, it sounds like we got confirmation that we are currently in the blackout period. This is going to last about 6 minutes. Again, the reason why this is happening is because the vehicle has plasma building up all around it, which prevents us from having comms with the vehicle, but it only lasts about 6 minutes as the vehicle is re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. Once we get back into the atmosphere, that plasma clears up and it won't be so hot anymore. So at this point, we are in the communications blackout period, again, which will last about 6 minutes due to plasma formation around the spacecraft. Now, during this time, no vehicle telemetry is received by mission control or the recovery team, and no external commanding of the vehicle or voice communication is possible.
But as a reminder, Dragon is designed to fly itself and continues to autonomously use those Draco thrusters to orient itself during reentry. During reentry, the vehicle will be slowing down from an orbital velocity, which is roughly 17,500 miles per hour, all the way down to our target splashdown velocity, which is about 15 miles per hour. The top temperature Dragon is experiencing upon reentry happens during this plasma phase, and it is nearly 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Our FRAM2 astronauts returning home are Mission Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Jannica Mikkelsen, Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Eric Phillips, and Mission Pilot Rabia Roga.
Just in case you are just joining us, we are wrapping up a mission that began on Monday, March 31st at 9:46 p.m. Eastern Time when Falcon 9 launched our FRAM2 crew to a polar orbit from NASA Launch Complex 39A from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Dragon successfully separated from Falcon 9's second stage about 10 minutes after liftoff and continued on its planned polar journey.
Since then, the crew has been flying over Earth's polar regions while conducting loads of research to help advance long-duration space exploration and our understanding of human health in space. And they have been uploading some great updates and visuals from space, like the clips we were showing earlier and like the clips that Mission Commander Chun Wang has been posting on X.
We have also seen some incredible views from Dragon's onboard cameras, like this one from the vantage point looking at the cupola from outside of the spacecraft.
That is so incredible that they have that cupola and the space hair. I love it.
You can tell they've really been enjoying their time together up in microgravity, getting these great images here that they took of their launch site from up in space.
Yeah, that cupola view really allows all 4 of them to be able to see, out the window at all times.
Which is particularly exciting for this mission because, again, this is the first crewed polar mission, which means these FRAM2 astronauts are the first astronauts since the Apollo missions to be able to see the poles of the Earth from space.
And the crew just having fun in microgravity there, taking a lot of photos and videos. This is a view from the cupola. You could see the nose cone in that view. And some nighttime views. Even at night, you get to see the Earth with all the lights that we have on Earth.
These are just incredible views, and obviously everything the crew has been sharing while they've been up in space, they've done through Starlink, and it has just been so cool to hear those first-hand accounts, see what's jumping out at them, what's been exciting to them, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more as the research findings continue once they get back home.
Yeah, what I think is so cool is that they've been able to post live while they're in space thanks to Starlink being on board Dragon.
Yeah, talk to their families, video chat. We saw some great shots earlier of someone actually video chatting with somebody back on Earth. I just think that's an amazing, amazing leap forward for crewed spaceflight.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. We are trying to, explore space, but also how do we make space and all the exploration a little bit more closer to home on Earth? And we've got the Starlink communications to enable that. We had X-ray being brought on board, which helps with health and any emergency situations, but also research. It's really incredible how close we're starting to make the space environment closer to what it is like on home. Besides, we don't have gravity up there.
Yeah, it's been cool to see the SpaceX research program kind of take Earth to space, right? Like, how do we plan for food and exercise and all these things that will help us continue to explore space and ultimately make life multiplanetary?
Yeah, we only have really a limited time while the crew is out in space, so it's really great to see the amount of progress that you're able to make. And FRAM2 has only been on this mission for just a few days, and they've been able to do 22 research experiments. That's a lot of research and data that they can advance.
And of course, we're getting views on your screen right now, our first views of the capsule on its way back to Earth. We've got a lot more trajectory information on the screen right now, so you can continue to follow along as Dragon makes its way back toward its splashdown site, which, again, just in case you're joining us a little bit later in the program, today we are splashing down off the coast of California instead of off the East Coast, which is what you've probably typically seen if you've joined us for crew recoveries in the past. Today we're targeting a touchdown just off the coast of Oceanside here in California.
Yeah, and we are expected to splash down at 9:18 a.m. Pacific time, and we are still currently in the blackout comms period, but we are expecting to come out of that any minute now. And this is the recovery zone where the vehicle will be splashing down with the recovery ship Shannon patiently waiting, as well as a couple fast boats there. A part of the recovery team, they'll first meet Dragon once it splashes down, make sure that the vehicle is safe, and then begin the recovery operations.
One of the next major milestones we're standing by for on board Dragon is the deploy of our drogue chutes. We have 2 sets of parachutes on board Dragon during reentry. The first are the drogues. We deploy those when the capsule, which we're getting great initial views on your screen. You said it earlier, but the fact that we've got these daytime views great. So like I said, we're standing by for that drogue chute deploy. That will happen when Dragon is moving at about 350 miles per hour. Those chutes are designed specifically to be deployed.
Dragon, SpaceX, comm check. Dragon, SpaceX, comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, we have you loud and clear. How me?
We have you the same. We see a healthy flight computer. Expect automated chute deployment.
Dragon, copy.
AGPS has converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Dragon, copy.
Awesome. As you heard there, we have confirmation that we have come out of the blackout period and established comms back with the FRAM2 crew as they're making their way back down to Earth, and we are expecting those drogue parachutes to deploy here. Sounds like it's on time and at the expected altitude in just about a minute or so.
Yeah, which is all great news. We heard a lot of good confirmation from Mission Control back to Dragon. So again, those drogue chutes are special in that they are smaller and lighter than our main.
Brace for drogues.
Good.
Copy. Brace for drogues.
You can see on your screen that the seats are rotating in preparation for splashdown, and the crew is bracing for the drogue parachutes. They're going to feel maybe a little bit of a jolt as the vehicle is going to slow down very quickly. And this is such an incredible view that we're seeing of Dragon because of the daytime views that we're getting here. This looks amazing.
So just ahead of the call out for drogue chute deployment, Dragon will autonomously safe the propulsion system on board and then deploy those drogue parachutes, which we just see on your screen right now. I can't get over these views today. And of course right now...
Visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Good news there from Mission Control.
Copy. We see the same. 2 healthy drogues.
And good response from our crew.
This is a view on board Dragon, looking at the drogues.
Apex Dragon, crew brace for mains.
Copy. Brace for mains.
And we are expecting the main parachutes to deploy here in under a minute or so.
So
wow.
Yeah, those are amazing. Right now, those drogue chutes are doing that initial slowdown, and it looks like we're getting views here of main parachute deploy.
We see visual on 4 healthy mains.
SpaceX Dragon, we see the same. 4 healthy mains.
And you can see that the main parachutes have deployed. They are expanding. Once they're fully expanded, they are going to slow the vehicle down all the way to about 16 miles per hour, right in time for splashing down into the Pacific Ocean today.
Right now, Dragon has saved all propulsion systems on board.
1,000.
Copy. 1,000 meters.
Dragon right now is also terminating the nitrox suit and cabin purges and is beginning to increase pressure in preparation for landing.
And additionally, the mission control team here in Hawthorne is reporting the precise landing coordinates to the recovery team so that they know exactly where
800.
Copy. 800.
Exactly where they're expected to touch down. And you are hearing those callouts. We are confirming the altitude as the vehicle makes its way back down to Earth.
And of course, now that we've had confirmation of both drogue and main parachute deployment with these great views of our crews inside Dragon on your screen now, our next major milestone is splashdown.
Yeah, very excited with these awesome views that we're getting.
600.
600 meters.
Landing in water is simpler, therefore more reliable, and it provides more margin against unlikely parachute issues. Now, we had to learn how to make Dragon waterproof, but once you do, it's rinse, review, and reuse.
400.
Copy. 400.
If you're just now joining us,
Crew bracing for splashdown.
you are watching the FRAM2 crew make their way back down to Earth, and amazing daytime views. I love that we got the opportunity to do this. You could see Dragon and
200.
Copy. 200 meters and braced for splashdown.
inside of that Dragon capsule are the 4 FRAM2 crew members about to splash down here in just a few seconds. Welcome home, FRAM2. We have confirmation of splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon has returned home with the FRAM2 crew. The SpaceX recovery ship and team have been waiting for Dragon splashdown, and they will now start making their way to the splashdown location. In procedure of the recovery operations, the next milestone that we should be able to visually see will be when the Shannon recovery vessel approaches the Dragon capsule, and then we will lift the capsule up out of the water into what we call the Dragon nest on board the recovery ship. And as a reminder, we typically have previously splashed down in the Gulf and off the coast of Florida. But today, we splashed down off the west coast in the Pacific Ocean for the very first time in Dragon. And the FRAM2 crew is still patiently waiting inside of the Dragon capsule there on your screen. We have Mission Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Yannicka Mick Nicholson, excuse me, our Mission Specialist Eric Phillips, and Mission Pilot Rabia Roga, completing their 4-day mission in polar orbit.
Our crew actually all met together in Svalbard, which is something that our commander, Chun Wang, shared on X while they were up in space. All of them have deep ties.
Dragon SpaceX, comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, repeat.
Comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, we have you loud and clear. Tell me.
I have you loud and clear as well, and Dragon to ground is no longer private.
Dragon copy.
Some additional communication there between our crew and Mission Control here in Hawthorne, California. Again, all of the polar explorers on board today have deep ties to the Arctic. That's where this crew met and kind of dreamt up this mission. And now we are currently waiting for their exit from the capsule, returning as the first polar explorers from space.
Dragon, be advised, we are transitioning our forward link. Comm will be unavailable for approximately 5 minutes.
Dragon copy on comm available for approximately 5 minutes.
And there you can see our recovery vessel Shannon and a view from on board the recovery ship. Now this is the deck that the crew will walk out onto when they first exit the vehicle. The Dragon capsule will be lifted at the end of the vehicle, or the recovery vessel there into the dragon nest, and then it'll translate forward. And there you can see the dragon nest a little bit better there. It'll translate forward to that deck where the recovery team can open the hatch and allow the crew to exit the capsule.
We mentioned it earlier, but that circular fixture that you see at the aft end of the recovery vessel, which is at the top of your screen, is what we're referring to as the Dragon Nest. That's what we'll place Dragon into, both for crew exiting or egressing the capsule, and for transition of the spacecraft all the way back to port. That's where it will stay nested until we're ready to take it off. And obviously then we bring those capsules back and prep them for future reflight, as we do with most of our vehicles here at SpaceX.
Yeah, this capsule actually flew 3 times prior to the FRAM2 crew. It supported the Crew 1 mission a few years ago, which is wild to think in the past few years that we've had so many crew missions, and now today concluding a fully commercial civilian mission.
Our second, actually. Our first was onboard Inspiration-4. We've had several different free-flying missions since then. Obviously, Polaris Dawn last year, FRAM2 today. But lots of different use cases for Dragon. We see it transport NASA astronauts.
Dragon SpaceX, ComCheck.
SpaceX Dragon, we have you loud and clear. Tell me.
Copy. I have you loud and clear as well. We have completed our forward link transition.
Dragon, copy.
Good confirmation there that we're continuing that communications between Mission Control and FRAM2 on board. And again, we were just talking about the many different use cases for Dragon, whether it's flying NASA crew members to the International Space Station, these private first-of-their-kind free-flyer missions, or taking cargo up to the ISS as well.
Yeah, it's really cool to see kind of how this Dragon capsule has expanded through each one of the missions. Its first launch being with Crew 1 had the docking adapter on that with the ISS, and then the second flight was actually Inspiration-4 with the cupola, the third flight with Polaris Dawn with the Skywalker hardware, and then back to FRAM2 with the cupola again with some of the coolest views. So.
And again, that cupola is the large domed window on the top side of Dragon. We've had it covered in the shots that we've seen of Dragon because we closed the nose cone prior to reentry. But that cupola is the largest window ever flown in space, which has enabled a lot of these great views for our crew and photos and videos that they've been sharing with us.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see more. I know that they've been taking some really awesome video and cinematography with the experience of especially Yannicka on board. And a great view there, Dragon getting very close to being lifted onto our recovery vessel Shannon in the Pacific Ocean today.
Right now, our teams are working on lowering the vessel's hydraulic lift mechanism on board Shannon into the water to bring Dragon up on deck. We'll go ahead and put it in the Dragon nest we were talking about a little bit earlier there. This really is a closely coordinated effort between a lot of different teams, and we're seeing a lot of different vessels, team members, all work together in these different shots that we're getting from the drone covering recovery today.
And you can see how calm the water looks in the Pacific Ocean. That is one of the weather factors that we do monitor for a crew splashdown. And it looks very calm. Weather looks great. Blue skies. I'm sure the crew will be happy to step out for the first time, get their first breath of fresh air from the Pacific Ocean and see some blue skies.
Yeah, their first experience back on Earth since they launched on March 31st from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Our crew took off from LC-39A, which is also a historic launch pad in many ways, and is the one that we most often launch from for our crewed missions here at SpaceX.
And we've mentioned this before, but as you can see on the recovery vessel, there is a helicopter pad there. And that was what Marissa was standing on when we were talking with her earlier through Starlink. But the crew will be lifted on to the ship on the capsule. They'll exit in a great view there of the nest that the capsule will be lifted and set onto. And once they complete some medical checks, they will actually get on a helicopter that will land on that helicopter pad on top of the ship and take them back to land a little bit faster than being on the ship.
Dragon SpaceX, rigging complete, approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift.
Dragon copy, 5 minutes until capsule lift.
Request to bring cameras back on board.
SpaceX Dragon, stand by.
Copy, standing by. One other note, please be advised the ground team is working to clear the insufficient O2 for full depress caution from your board.
Dragon copy.
You may have heard those comms there, but getting very close to Dragon being lifted out of the water with that hydraulic lift system there.
Very cool to get a chance to see this recovery vessel at work, too. There are a lot of different ground and water-based support systems that go into every launch and recovery.
Brace for capsule lift.
Dragon copy, brace for capsule lift.
We also saw our iconic team member jump into the water. The FRAM2 crew, instead of the Dragon capsule being lifted out of the water, will be gently placed on that Dragon nest that you see there. These views are awesome. This is so cool.
In case you are...
SpaceX Dragon, still requesting to stand by on cameras internal.
No problem. Cameras will remain external.
Some more communication there between our crew and mission control. In case you joined us later in the webcast, this was our first recovery of a Dragon off the West Coast. So it'll be interesting to hear what our recovery teams have to say about the differences between operating on the West and East Coast. Typically, the West Coast water is a little bit colder, so we'll see what the fast boat crew members especially have to say about the difference.
Yeah, hopefully with the warmer, sunny weather, it was a little bit warmer in the water for them.
Yeah, we had beautiful days, beautiful daytime views today of Dragon's recovery. We did splash down just off the coast of Oceanside, California, but we narrowed that selection down from 3 possible landing sites along the west coast today. And all of that was decided in part by weather, but a lot of other different variables.
Dragon, go for cameras internal.
Copy. Taking cameras internal.
The FRAM2 crew is still inside of the Dragon capsule, still patiently waiting in their seats. And that is Mission Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Yannicka McNicholson, Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Eric Phillips, and Mission Pilot Rabia Roga, waiting for that Dragon hatch to open here momentarily. Before that happens, we're going to translate the Dragon capsule over to the deck that we saw earlier, and the recovery team will then have access to the hatch and be able to open it up and allow the crew members to exit.
And Dragon cameras are back on board.
Dragon, copy.
Looking good, guys.
Now, before we move forward with, there's our first first view of the crew following splashdown. Everybody looking happy, healthy? The first person to meet with the crew is actually going to be a SpaceX medical officer to continue checking on the health of the astronauts. See some fist bumps there. Everybody's happy to be home.
Welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks. Stand by for translation to the egress platform.
Dragon, copy. Standing by.
That's so awesome to see them so connected with each other and excited, holding hands as they, are completing the final steps of their mission, which is not quite over yet. Exiting the capsule is a part of their research. So they've got one more step to go before this mission is complete. Looks like Rabia is trying to experience what gravity is like again.
It'll be great to hear their description of having been up in space, given the wide variety of backgrounds that they brought to this mission.
Right.
Right now, we are standing by for translation of the Dragon up to the deck before opening the hatch on board Dragon. Before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure needs to be equalized with the outside environment, so we may hear some chatter about that as well. Once the hatch is opened, we mentioned it earlier, but that will be our crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission on March 31st.
The astronauts will egress from Dragon's side hatch, pending spacecraft orientation or translation to the deck on the recovery vessel.
Some more views on the left-hand side of your screen of our recovery teams interacting with the capsule, getting everything ready for that translation movement. And on the right-hand side, of course, we have the smiling faces of our astronauts.
And if you're looking at the right hand of your screen, from left to right, we have Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Eric Phillips. And then in the seat maybe a little bit tired from the mission. In the seat next to him is the pilot, Rabia Roga, and then Vehicle Commander Yannicka McNicholson, and Mission Commander Chun Wang, all patiently waiting for the Dragon capsule to translate to the deck, that Dragon hatch to open and take their first breath of fresh air back on Earth in a few days.
This crew completed just about 55 orbits of the Earth during their mission, passing over the poles roughly every 46.5 minutes.
Yeah, and just cool to just get a different perspective of Earth in the polar orbit. No crew has ever orbited that orbit before, which is so awesome that this FRAM2 crew has made history. And selfies. And it's cool that Chun is using his phone even with his gloves on. These are gloves that are made to work with displays, and it looks like it still works with your phone.
I'm excited to see that picture.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, we do have our crew visors up at this point because we are safely on board Shannon, our recovery vessel. But the space suits really are an extension of the Dragon capsule. So our crew dons them both for ascent and descent and any dynamic phases of flight on board Dragon. So we're getting these great views inside here. It looks like maybe another selfie is happening, which is great. And now that visors are up, we've got great views of all of our crew faces, smiling here, happy to be home. And looks like everybody's doing really well.
Yeah. You know, with a mission like this, you definitely have to document every moment.
Oh, and there we're seeing great visual of Dragon beginning that translation on the nest up to the deck. There's a recovery team preparing to open up the hatch. Obviously, a medical officer standing by to greet our crew. They are going to exit Dragon unassisted today, which again is one of their final experiments as a crew here. This is unique because the crew has been operating in microgravity. So what we're testing here is their coordination and their ability to transmit, or their ability to go from that zero gravity environment back to regular gravity here on Earth while wearing their roughly 35-pound spacesuit.
Right, and the reason why we're doing this type of experiment is because when we go and explore places like the Moon and Mars, you might not have a recovery crew there waiting for you to help assist you. So learning and understanding, you know, what happens to your body while you've been out in space for a while, and trying to understand, you know, what may or may not be needed to be able to exit a spacecraft unassisted is extremely important for those type of missions in the future.
Dragon SpaceX, stand by for side hatch opening and egress.
Dragon copy. Standing by for side hatch opening and egress.
Right now, we're just standing by for that hatch opening so that our crew can exit, which you're hearing us use the word egress, so egress the capsule, and get underway with medical checks and following up with additional research, of course, seeing their families.
And there's that hatch open. We are What you can see there is we are putting a protective frame around the hatch for when they exit. This is important to make sure that we don't damage the suits or the vehicle as they exit the capsule. Again, this vehicle is reusable, so we want to maintain the integrity of the vehicle as well as the making sure that the crew is safe as they exit. And that specifically covers the seal of the hatch. That sealing surface is extremely important. As we've been mentioning, that hatch has been closed since Monday, since before they lifted off out into space, and this is the first time it's been reopened since then.
This was this capsule's 4th launch and splashdown. So to your point about keeping an eye on making sure everything stays ready for recovery and reuse, we're looking forward to flying this Dragon again. Few more steps here while we're standing by for the egress of our FRAM2 crew out of their Dragon spacecraft.
If you're just now joining us, the FRAM2 crew is made up of Mission Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Yannicka Nicholson, Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Eric Phillips, as well as Mission Pilot Rabia Roga. Currently still inside of their seats, inside of the Dragon capsule, and will soon perform their last research experiment of exiting the capsule unassisted.
Jesse, as you mentioned, this last exit here is one of our research experiments. So we actually did just see senior scientific research engineer Marissa Rosenberg enter the capsule to talk to the crew to brief this final experiment. She's been working very closely with the crew throughout their preparation for launch on all 26 of these experiments. The SpaceX research program really is geared toward experimentation that supports long-duration spaceflight.
They will remove their footrests themselves, get out of their seat themselves, and exit the spacecraft themselves. And on your screen closest to us is Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Eric Phillips. Next to him in the pilot seat is Mission Pilot Rabia Roga.
Looks like Rabia is the first one who's going to exit Dragon here.
Looks like Rabia was able to pull herself out of her seat, and looks like she's standing there. And removing her footrest of her specific seat. Oh, it looks like some cargo, actually. Rabia Roga was our mission pilot for the FRAM2 crew. It was the first to get up out of her seat and exit the spacecraft.
This is a really big shift for our astronauts.
And
there she is.
She is standing and very happy and excited.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. Mission pilot Rabia Roga of the FRAM2 crew. Looks like Eric Phillips is up next. And there's Eric Phillips standing tall.
All smiles exiting Dragon. This is great.
And looks like Vehicle Commander Janneke Mikkelsen is now out of her seat. Lifting up some cargo. And there she goes. Janneke Mikkelsen. Very, very excited. And last but especially not least, Mission Commander Chun Wang will conclude this final research experiment in a few moments.
Just in case you're just joining us, the experiment that we're doing right now is watching our crew exit Dragon unassisted. The reason that's important is because when you're up in space operating in microgravity, we see some changes in bone density, muscle strength, even over a short period of time. So we're testing our crew's ability to exit the Dragon spacecraft unassisted, in no small part because in the future, either on the moon or on Mars, we may not have a recovery team there to meet our astronauts.
Especially when we go for the first time.
Again, this is our mission commander, Chun Wang, exiting Dragon.
Also reaching for some cargo. And Mission Commander Chun Wang has now exited the spacecraft. What an awesome team, awesome mission, and a diverse group of experience. Excellent mission. This was an awesome, very unique and different experience, and I can't wait to hear more from the crew and what their experience was like on orbit. Now with our FRAM2 crew now safely back home on Earth and getting checked by our medical team, the crew will next be catching a helicopter flight back to shore, and soon they'll rejoin their families.
Over the past 4-day mission, FRAM2 became the first human spaceflight to orbit Earth's polar regions. The crew conducted 22 research experiments while in orbit, including research studies and experiments designed to advance both human health here on Earth and during long-duration spaceflight.
And over the course of the mission, the crew achieved several firsts, including the first X-rays to be taken in space, opening the door to a vast array of clinical research and engineering applications.
FRAM2 was also the first time exercise has taken place on Dragon, and the crew performed the first ever study to grow mushrooms in space, with the goal of helping astronauts meet their nutritional needs on long-duration space missions like those to Mars. And today was the first time a Dragon crew was recovered on the West Coast.
So many incredible firsts. Thank you so much for joining us this week for the FRAM2 mission. And as always, make sure to check x.com/SpaceX for updates. I'm Jessie Anderson.
And I'm Ronnie Foreman. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend.